You looking at this, Joyce?
No.
That's the org chart that was shared
They
yesterday.
slaved through the copy.
Yeah. There may be an updated org chart from yesterday. I don't know.
Next year, they said we're gonna get digital. They're gonna stop
I don't
this.
have an org chart in my phone.
Director's office under recreation.
Oh, where you get, I don't see
Oh,
that.
so Council President, I can see from a very far away table that is an earlier version
Okay.
of the organization of the department. So I am,
Go on-
that is why that is
Go under
there.
tab 4. Once you go
Just so
there-
the rest of the
Oh, we
council's
don't have
clear, yeah, just so the rest of the council is clear, the binders provided to everybody were strictly financial. Yesterday, the mayor's office sent out organizational charts for the meetings that were being held today. So council president put it in her binder. I assume
Oh, she.
the rest of you did
okay,
not.
Yeah, all right.
What can I say?
Be prepared.
So the
Yes.
administration sent out the wrong.
There might have been like some changes
Special
to it.
treatment, no.
An error.
I
So
put
it's,
everything in
it's the
binder.
ones from the departments then that
So
I
if
put
I
it in the
might,
binder
Council,
there.
administration got it wrong.
Council President, I'm looking at Councilwoman DeGise's version over here, and that
Yeah.
is for sure an older version. We started working on those organizational charts
Okay.
before I went out on maternity leave.
Okay.
And I have a 4.5-month-old baby now, so I think probably somewhere along the lines, the updates and really tightening and making sure that we had everyone in the spots that we need them to be from an operational standpoint.
Okay.
It got lost on the way, but I can certainly share out the updated version of that. The current, version based on how we actually function and what people are
Okay.
actually doing.
All right, so you don't need assistant. That's what
Well,
you're saying.
right now we have a deputy, but I do need a deputy director, right? And
Okay.
right now, because we need to think about that right now.
Because if you're there and you don't have no one under you, you'll be carrying the whole load, and I'm
Correct.
just asking.
And so that is why now our illustrious Joseph Mackey is listed up there. As Councilman Saleh noted, we have a lot, years of institutional knowledge and leadership. We
Okay.
have staff that respect Mr. Mackey. We have an athletic community that respects Mr. Mackey and understands how it all works. And most importantly, Mr. Mackey is cool under pressure, which is necessary. So he has been holding down the fort
Okay.
while I have been out with
Okay.
on leave, and that is why the
Okay.
deputy director title would fall
Under-
to him.
Gotcha. All right. I just want to make sure, because this is a lot of
So the
work
record
here.
clear, we don't,
I'm
wait,
exhausted going through this.
we
right?
don't need, we don't need that position
We're
filled,
teasing.
right?
Right this minute, no.
No.
Okay. But
Joe
you
Mackey's
really
been
don't
filling
got it.
in. That's what she's saying. Joe's been filling
Yeah.
in. So she see at this point, she doesn't need it. So then
Yeah.
Joe will bump up to that space, whether Joe want to or not. But it seemed like Joe was kind of up there.
No, he's there. He's there.
Whether he wants to or not, Joe, okay? But it seemed like he's been the one who's really been helping her, because I know with this division, this is a large division, and then you got 3
Yes.
other small divisions inside. It's like, how is it really operating? What is the flow exactly? You have the director here, but you have 3 other divisions that need to function, that need people to be responsible for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because if she's responsible for all of this, after a while, she's gonna get burned out. It's just gonna happen naturally. So if you put
Burned
people.
out with an assistant.
So if you put people on those other divisions and everybody know who to report to, it'll be an easier flow. That's why I'm looking at the old chart, and it says that was vacant. And it's still vacant, to be perfectly honest. He's filling in. And so now they say they don't need it. So Joe, we're gonna make sure that, you up there, brother, you up there. So that's why you want to make sure it flows, because this is a lot of changes, to be perfectly honest. And when it comes to recreation and the enrichment, because the enrichment program wasn't going as we thought it was. Believe me, it wasn't. And so now things are starting to open back up, and now the programs are starting to come back. And so now if Keith is responsible for that department, which is more programs, we got clear. So then he's going to have to start creating programs that will attract other children. Now,
Yes.
what they doing now is pulling off the kids that's coming there, but we don't need to continue to pull off them. We need new kids. So advertisement has to be a key. He's going to have to figure out how it's going to have to be
Yes.
done, because we need to reach more kids, new kids. And so it's a job y'all have. I'm looking at it and listening to it, but it's a job that you really have ahead of you. And so that's why I'm asking these questions, because staffing is important. Because if you ain't got the right staff, it's just not gonna work.
You can
And
say
we'll
that.
be here next year talking about the same old thing.
I mean, we interviewed and did resumes for over 600 kids for the summer. And that was
600, how
our,
many did y'all have?
we hired about 275.
Okay, so
250.
that's a lot of kids to
But
manage.
it's also a lot of resumes. It's also a lot of
Correct.
interviews with staff of two.
With a staff of how many?
Two.
See? Okay.
So, and we did all these interviews throughout this whole season. So the reason we weren't advertising through this certain bank,
Right.
because we were really focused on the job stuff.
Correct.
And for kids through ninth grade to 12th grade or up to
Yeah.
24, this is the practice they need. That's the youth
Right.
development that I think we should really focus on for a little while, and then start
Okay.
moving into more of the bucket drumming, and then, respectfully, we talked about coding last year.
Correct.
That's
Talked
something
about
that
coding.
we're working with the library because we have some
Okay.
struggles with the BOE, and I don't
Okay.
have access to thousands of
Correct,
computers. So,
correct.
so I'd really like a big focus on that jobs area, and then bringing those jobs back to
Okay.
City Hall and to the other departments throughout the city, and giving these kids an opportunity.
You know what, it's something to think about. I don't know if we can, but I gotta ask legal about this, because coding is a big issue, and he know I've been always talking to him about coding, making sure the kids get coding, right? Now, right, so now we have this cannabis coming, and the cannabis community has to get back to the community. So I'm just wondering, legally, can we give them an MOU with recreation and have recreation, partner with them? Listen, you learn. Partner with them, really, partner with them to get computers or whatever the case may be, because they're supposed to get back to community. And one of the places that they can get back is recreation, because our kids are our community.
I agree.
Council President, I mean, we'll back you to the, however many
I'm just
miles you
gonna
want
ask
to
the
go on
legal
that, we're
department,
with
can we
you.
do it, because they always looking for organizations to partner with. And if coding is something that we know our children need, then that's something we need to really put some attention to.
Right. With respect, what we also need to think about is where are we going to be doing all these programs? Because
Correct.
right now, we are begging and borrowing and, not stealing, but
Denise.
begging and borrowing space from the school district. And when the school
Denise.
says no, we don't have an answer for that.
I get Denise, she's on redevelopment. Is there space? Because you know why? Because the city, we got to learn how to work together and use the spaces that we have, because this makes no sense to me. Because if redevelopment have space somewhere, they may have to redevelop it. You understand what I'm saying? And because we've been fighting for a rec center since I've been in office, and I'm just tired of it, to be honest.
Right.
I never seen nothing like this. I work for government, but I'm telling you, it can frustrate you. Because now what we need is a rec center. So now because we partner with other developers to do certain things, we have to start thinking, can we partner with somebody to redevelop a space that we can buy for $1 from redevelopment and make it something for the kids? We just have to start thinking different, because our kids don't have a place to go. They really don't. And some of the schools that they're in are not up to par, they tell me.
What about the Steel Tech site that was supposed to incorporate recreational
Sure.
space?
Right. That's the whole problem. Everybody's supposed to, that's why we have to follow
Well,
through.
I mean,
Denise.
well, two things, I would say. The first thing is, some of these things aren't active recreation, right? So are we utilizing the Bethune Center for financial literacy classes, chess, et cetera? Like, we have space. And then the second thing is, as Councilwoman DeGise pointed out, we did plan for a recreation center in Steel Tech, and, that's being held up because, that particular project is not really wanted by the community. So, I mean, but yes, we can look for some additional space or some new projects to do that in. Now, people might not be satisfied with the location at that point,
Right.
but whatever
I
we can find
understand.
first.
But they said beggars should be choosy, right?
And I submit during COVID that I think a great
Well, they're
benefit was
safe,
that we
yeah.
were in the parks, and we were in we were in like 11 different parks all around the city, so we were close, right? And we now, every single program that we run is filled, right? I mean, everybody wants in because they know what we're doing now. They know where to
Correct.
find us. Your question, Councilwoman, about using the Bethune Center. The Bethune has their own budget to
Schedule,
bring
yeah.
programs in. So they don't
Yes.
have I would love to take over that large room upstairs, open it into 3, and put some lines on the ground and do basketball during, sometimes. But there's already things that are planned there because because it's not ours.
That's the other thing I was going to say, Bethune Center, because I think we went through this before. At one point, they were under DPW, then we moved them somewhere else. Where are they now?
I believe
Culture
they are under
affairs.
cultural affairs.
We met with them this morning. They under culture affairs. And they are booked.
But that,
That's part
no,
of their problem.
that Bethune's, all those rooms ain't booked all day at that Bethune Center. It's, that Bethune Center rooms on that first floor, the second floor, we can definitely find a way to carve in for 2 hours for recreation to do enrichment programs and.
I think with that room, based on the way it's set up, you probably can find a room to do maybe a small coding class. But the truth
no
is.
basketball or
No,
nothing like
but
that,
no,
but
you
group
couldn't,
programs.
because he rents it out. I mean, he have dance, I mean, he's opening back up. See, remember, everybody was closed. But now everyone is opening up, and he's really busy too. Because like, I've been up there last week to see exactly what they was doing, and he's pretty busy. He is. I can't say he's not. But I'm thinking on that first floor, there's always a room there towards the back that I don't know how much the activity is.
Yeah, I just think we have to do a better job of communicating across different departments. Like, I know everybody has their own thing.
Correct.
But, I mean, we have libraries that we can be
Yeah.
using. Like, I don't see us, I feel like our libraries are underutilized, maybe just because I'm not there checking out books anymore. But, I mean, I know the Earl Morgan branch has a great facility.
They do.
You know, a great meeting room and space, and, you know, I don't know how often it's used. And maybe they have programs that I just don't know about, but I think that we have to start tapping into some more of our resources that we currently have. Not saying we can't build more, because we should, but let's use what we have.
We have partnered with the library for our camp programs. We tried to have them actually do some of their actual programming. It didn't work out last summer. We bring the bookmobile in.
Yeah,
We
we do
tried to
that.
we tried to partner with the library to use their computers on site to do coding. That sort of fell through.
Yeah, well, 3 to 6 at the Bethune Center is fairly booked, and we tried to partner with the library, and that is still ongoing, and we're not, that is not done. Me and Kate Davis have been working together. They've had their own challenges over the year, so we're just kind of waiting till that kind of falls back. Their biggest problem, I would say, is getting kids. Like, I have the kids, so I'm always willing to get the kids for them. New kids, old kids, all different ones. For some odd reason, they have a little bit of trouble with their outreach, because, I mean, they use it to social media, and we have access to, you know, our rec desk that we use for that, and plus, you know.
We've explored with the library, like, do you want us to start putting your programs on ResTech so people see them, right? We list on our website, we list all the programming geared towards youth at the Bethune Center, even though it's not us, but it is us, it's the city, and we want kids engaged. So we have tried those things, you know, and that indoor space, it's just tough. And when
Maybe
we
you
get
should
it,
reach
it's
out
not
to them
always-
again. This morning, we met with them, and they're talking about new programming, so that's why I'm saying.
Happy to.
It probably would, you know, try now.
And now you have the support of the council. I think it'll make things a little bit easier so you guys can work together.
Yes.
For the library and the recreation, I'll take it from the top really quick. The deputy director position, I mean, you're the acting one, but usually all the departments do have one that
Right.
represents. The hiring for the summer staff, I was kind of involved in the process a couple of
Okay.
times. We do, I think, a pretty fair job with the kids. They get a little nervous, but we make sure we have an HR person over there. For the cannabis, I guess the idea, we will have to check with the law department and get back to you with the finance
Right.
people if we can do that. The redevelopment agency, I think that would be great if we can make something like that work.
I mean, we can try different things. I'm just trying to think outside the box, because at this point, recreation is growing, and it will increase because everybody's outside. I think everybody's going to appreciate outside more than ever now, since we was locked down for 2 years. It's just a different, everywhere you go is packed. I never seen nothing like it, but I get it. We was locked away.
Yeah.
You know, so people will come out, and parents will enroll their kids more into active programs now. So you're going to have a double, maybe a triple load, to be perfectly honest. So I'm just trying to think outside the box how I can get more space. And I think coding is a way to go. I'm not letting up on it. I've been talking about it since it's like a broken record, because I know these kids need it. They can't compete. They won't be able to compete. Our kids is going to fail. They will not be able to compete without coding.
I was going to say, to your point, Council President, a lot of the coding and developer positions for Fortune 500 companies they're located here in Jersey City. So if you develop that, that's a natural talent pool. Like that's
Correct.
where they house them here. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
I also want to ask about one line item. It's the where is it? Oh my God, I just had it. Where did it go? Basically, it is not mileage, rent. Basically, it was for renting. Yeah, 304, renting 6-week rentals of tents, tables, chairs for summer camp fun sites, pod rentals for storage at summer fun sites. Is there any way that we could just buy the capital equipment if it's like tables and chairs or?
So that is something that we probably should, I guess that one sentence is not good. That one sentence was not updated the way that it should. So this year, we actually did purchase a bunch of tables and chairs up at Pershing so that we wouldn't have to rent equipment. Last summer, we were operating outdoors at, 6 sites. And we rented a tent. We didn't rent like a tent that you set up. We rented gigantic tents so that we had, protection from the elements. So that is not something we have repeated this year. But we did, to your point, we just, last week, the tables and chairs that were utilized for the governor's press conference had literally arrived on site like 3 days ago, not because we knew the governor wanted to come to Pershing Field Community Center, but because we were gearing up for camp and had done a cost analysis to figure out why don't we just own these things because we're going to need them.
Awesome. Great job. Thank you.
Does the department have any revenue streams?
Currently, not many. So that's actually one of the things that I am looking, we need to be doing for next year.
Yeah.
Actually starting now, but implementing next year. The revenue streams we have now is people pay an admission fee to come to the rink and to go to Pershing Pool. That's the end of my sentence. Right. We used to have a few, we used to have a relatively nominal fee for one of our soccer programs and our track program. And no fee for anything else, right? And while I imagine the no fee concept was there so we wouldn't have any barriers to participation, what we now see, again, is parents who see free and sign their kid up for 10 programs that they can't attend all because they think they see free and it's no big deal. So we spend a lot of human capital circling back around, reminding people that we're, planning on capacity for what we can do safely, and please only sign up for what you can participate in. And, it's a lot of human capital on the back end of that.
If you change your fee go up, it would have to come before the council, right?
Yes, on a fee ordinance. So some of the things that I will be coming before you on a fee ordinance have to do with our athletic field permitting because we have no costs and we have professional teams coming and using our fields. We've got people from different states coming and using our fields because there's no fee on them. So while I don't think a fee should be implemented to be a deterrent, we need some form of fee sharing so that we are people are signing up for what they need,
Correct.
not for whatever is in front of them. We have the same thing with some people with, in my opinion, with some fields. Like we got some people who take 5 different fields, which maybe you don't need 5 different fields for the one league that has a home field. I don't know if Mr. Mackey might disagree with that, but we need to think about those things. In addition, anywhere that we have utilized Green Acres funding, which we started off before very briefly to touch, if you use Green Acres funding on something that is obviously public land, if you do charge a fee for that property to use it, you could have a different fee for out of town versus in town.
Okay.
But you can't have it be any more than 2 times the amount, right?
Okay.
And if the fee for in town is 0, 2 times 0 is 0.
Right.
So if the fee for our residents is 0, the fee for everyone else across the whole country is 0. And that's not the smartest move. Like aquatics, we were recently reminded that Green Acres funding was used to help with Pavonia Pool. So now Pavonia Pool is not resident only because we are not permitted to do that. So we as a city, we expend probably more than $1.5 million on our aquatics to maintain them, to staff them, to do all the things we need to, and we're giving it away to everybody because we're not allowed at one of our facilities to prohibit out-of-towners because we use Green Acres funding and the cost is 0 for residents.
Yeah.
So I have a whole bunch of things there. I have already eyeballed a person who I know has the skill to sort of help with some of that research because I have a bunch of folders that have started on what are other people charging for things and what does that look like, and if we are going to be thinking about helping with those costs, the subsidizing them for our community members, we need to be purposeful in what is our subsidy level, right? Are we
Right.
subsidizing everything at 100%? We want to subsidize at 90%? Do we, if I submit, it would probably be smart that we have a general fee, then we have a fee for low to moderate income individuals. And, but then we have to have a staff member who's equipped to figure out if somebody is a low to moderate income or is not. We either need the software to do that or we need the person to do that. So there's things that come with that, but in the big picture, it's necessary. And I will be coming before you
Okay.
with that request.
Could you make sure you come by at least September? The only reason I'm saying it, because I know we had this conversation before, to be
Yes.
honest, and I see right now that if we don't put no timeline, we just not gonna get this done. Because part of our problem is everything is free, and I said, I don't believe everything should be free. People take pride in something that they pay for. I don't care if it's $1. They know that they contribute, and because the city is paying for so many things that people think we're not paying for, but we are paying for it. I think people need to have some type of responsibility too, and maybe it'll keep up our facilities even better. But by September, at least have something to us, because I know we had this conversation before about the fees, because everybody coming in Jersey City using it for free.
Yeah, I just, my only
And I just want the
issue-
council to be reminded of that, because when it come, I don't want us to go through this thing, oh, well, we shouldn't, we couldn't. No, we know what's happening. That's what the budget hearings are for, to allow us to see exactly where the money's going, what we need to keep this city functioning. That's important.
I guess, I think it's a good idea. I just think that we should just be cognizant, and there has to be a mechanism.
Sure.
The same as the schools, if you're on public assistance.
And that's what she
or
said. Yeah,
if
it
you
has to
get all
be
that
like-
stuff. But it is ludicrous that professional teams use the field
Correct.
and they don't pay.
Okay,
So
right.
that's,
Do we have concession stands anywhere at any of our facilities or parks, or would you be open to looking at that?
So we are currently actually operating in-house the concession stand at Lafayette Pool, which as we did not do the past few years, but we are doing it right now. We tried a vendor last year and it wasn't the smoothest of relationships. So we are doing that in-house and we returned there with that. In terms of some of our baseball field houses, many of them are equipped with concession stands, but the way that has traditionally been set up is the baseball league operates that concession stand and then they use the revenue to help support their programs. Again, since COVID, everything has changed, right? Like the restrooms in those field houses used to be cleaned and maintained by the baseball leagues, who are no longer cleaning or maintaining anything, right? So now they turn around and say, well, why isn't this getting done when it's the same person that's complaining is the person that used to do it, right? So, and those are not staff that are built in. We have a temporary staffing solution to the bathrooms at Berry Lane being open, but it is like, it's gonna cost like $100,000 to have enough staff to have those that bathroom, just that bathroom open, and that's one location. But that's real, right? We built a giant public bathroom and then we didn't have a plan to staff it or make it available. That's true. And that's ours to figure out, even though we didn't build the facility, but here we are, right? So I already forgot why I was on, the concession stands. And recently I received an email from one of the baseball leagues saying, oh, well, why aren't we doing this? It's because the city didn't fix it. Well, we don't even know it's broken. We never operated the concession stand in that field house. So right now, those are not, and actually the concession stand at Caven Point is operated by the Board of Education, who owns the facility over there too.
They don't allow you any access?
Not to the concession stand. We have made some requests that they make that they show up and open the concession stands, like for our youth tackle football program, which they so far have been not responsive to.
Do we do any advertising, or do we open any advertising, people putting banners on fields or in courts?
So right now, from my understanding, where people are permitted to advertise, like at Pershing Field, the baseball league is the one that takes the money and for those advertisements, right? So we don't do that as a city. We're not letting people pay us money to put a banner somewhere. We actually have a rule that says no signage on fields.
Okay. Just because it could be a revenue stream to allow someone to advertise on those city sites within, their own requirements that we could have.
Yeah,
There's
we can look into those, like what you mentioned this morning, the community boards, all the stuff, all the informations. That might be an idea that we can explore, I guess, with administration, and then get back to you guys on that.
Thank you. Yeah, we brought up before, some of the parks having community boards for flyers and some not. So Cultural Affairs asked them to take a look at that, and more connections with the library. There's also ways people can adopt a bench, a tree, pavers, and you could put like from the class of 2020, and it wouldn't come out of your budget, and it would be a way to kind of engage the community.
Sure, and so those programs actually, or not programs, but initiatives like that do exist in some of our parks, mostly at the ones where there's like a very active board, right? So like at Hamilton, if you want to donate something, the law department figures out how how you do that, and can you do a bench or a brick or whatever that is. And with respect, with all the other things that we are responsible for, I submit that if we are going to look into like an advertisement scheme, not in the nefarious term of scheme, but an advertising scheme, I submit that I'm going to lean on another department for that, because that's not another task that we need to add, figuring out how to let people advertise and who should get a spot and who shouldn't. But I'm happy to look into that and figure out how we can do it. I submit that a really smart way to get started is to really look at the costs of our programs, which I have charts upon charts and Excel spreadsheets up, the wazoo, to really think about what does it cost if we wanted to subsidize it at X percent for, our constituents versus out of town. What does that look like? And I got a lot of work on it.
The Jersey City Parks Commission is one that has done these kind of programs. That money goes into the organizations that just volunteer in the parks, right? They have support the community, advertise the community with the city that way. So there may be worthwhile having a conversation around that, because they have a couple of parks. They've done that. Danvers Park is a perfect example. But what feasible you can charge, what kind of budget you want to, who gets to advertise, and how they're going to do it. But also Central Park and Service also is a pretty good program for that as well. So that's another thing that we can look at. So we'll and that's getting money for this programming as well. Just the Eden Citizens Agency for Economic Development, that would be a good extra way to get money in, since they are the city's nonprofit. So.
And also, is it possible we can, this is not a money generating mechanism, but it's a cost saving mechanism. If the entities, i.e. the Friends of whatever that park is, you're essentially, all right, y'all want the bathrooms open, y'all responsible for making sure the bathrooms are upkeep and maintenance and and things like that.
Some of them do that, not all though, and that's
Right. That's I think a touchy subject, but Councilman, you are not off in left field with that idea. I'm happy to champion that cause with the council's support behind me. But there's no but, and there's some legwork that needs to be done to further that conversation.
I don't know how to go about it, but there needs to be something between this department and the Jersey City Public Schools. They do not have a good relationship, and this should be something that's seamless. There should be shared services. I worked Jersey City Rec as my first job. Almost every public school in the Heights ran an aftercare program. And I know that the issue was the pay. Teachers got paid more than the rec workers, so the teachers kicked out the rec workers. But we ran really successful programs. And to go off of the council president's idea of connecting the Cannabis Control Board, one of our initiatives here in keeping, cannabis safe is to have more youth programming, so they do not get kind of drawn into doing that in high school, and get distracted. That if we can have these companies coming, they need to sponsor some youth activities, and the schools should want to be a part of that too. Some after-school enrichment, athletic and non-athletic, but also just the shared space. They're using our fields, or we're using their space. Who pays for what? Who maintains what? We need to figure that out and get it on paper. And whether it's free for both sides, and but it needs to be on paper and done, because it's not helpful to either side, same with getting out the libraries programs and stuff. They look like a willing partner. They were very happy to work with you and provide some services for your summer camps and vice versa. I don't know where the schools fall with that. I had another point with the schools, but
Colorado took advantage of all that money and had a huge education component to it. They also added like 2 social workers per school. There's a
Yep.
lot of money that you could do, especially for after-school programming, and actually paying our after-school staff more and giving legitimacy to the actual
Yeah.
program by having the right staff in
they
there.
Colorado did whatever California did wrong with cannabis. Colorado has that, we did it right. And one was if you were going to do business, you had to give 25% to reentry or addiction services and another 25% of your products
Correct.
to an after-school sponsorship of anything. Could be with a nonprofit, a private organization, or local rec.
So that's, as a council, we should be revisiting the ordinance that we had just recently passed about the split with the cannabis with the schools.
I think
and
with the school, I think we need a conversation how much, and the reason
Well,
why I'm
right
saying
now,
that
it was
because I know
50-50, and I think we need to
Yeah.
revisit that.
Because reentry has to get something from it.
Yeah, I
There's
don't
no
think we
way
ever made
that
a
this have to
decision.
go forth without reentry, because it was on the back of black and brown people that this happened, so it just can't. So reentry needs to be at the table, so that'll be a conversation, but far as anyone that comes now, because I know we gotta wrap it up here. I know far as anyone comes now that come in with cannabis and they are asking, how they can give back to the community. If they come, you can always suggest, because we can't demand, because they have to get into an agreement with an MOU. You definitely can suggest to them that they can partner with recreation, and recreation can say, okay, you can partner with us, and this is what, we can partner with, They can partner with the schools, but the schools are totally different dynamic because they got a board too, that I'm quite sure that have to have a conversation across the board, and they have to agree with. That's the only thing that slows us down with the school, to be honest. Just like we are board, they are board. We do partner with them with shared services. We do that with the school. We built 16-hole annex with the school. There's a lot we have done with the school, but they need to be at the table when it comes to recreation. And I know we've been reaching out to them before, trying to do certain things with the school. They have new leadership now. Maybe you need to reach out again, you know what I'm saying, to see how we can really collaborate and work together with the schools, all right? Because they got new leadership now. But I want it on record that this council has tried and tried and tried and tried and tried and tried.
4 years of trying and them denying, them saying they don't want $5,000 from us. And hours of meetings where there were more council people than the Board of Education trustees. So also want that on record.
Are there any other recreation questions? If not, all hearts and minds are clear?
We clear.
Okay, well, Gilmore gave the motion, I'll second.
So I have a motion to adjourn at 5:20 PM by Councilperson Gilmore,
He ready to go
Seconded.
now.
seconded by Councilperson Ridley. All in favor of the motion to adjourn at 5:20 PM? All
Aye.
council members present, please say aye by acclamation. We are out of here at 5:20 PM. Thank you so much. Remember, teamwork makes the dream work. Have a great night.
Who puppy?